It is your Rhyme Report early, 4:05, because we got a special guest in the studio. You want to tell everybody who it is? You go ahead, tell them.
What's up, y'all? It's Drea Kelly. How y'all doing?
How are you doing, Drea?
I am well. I am well. I always say I'm over the grass and not under the grass.
Yeah,
so it's
that's your
always
saying.
a good day.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So, the cabaret is happening tomorrow.
Yes.
How did you get started with all of that? Like to be doing a show?
Oh, I believe that burlesque has always been something that I've loved. I'm a big fan of Bob Fosse. So if anybody's familiar with Bob Fosse, the
Right.
Chicago 9, Sweet Charity. I mean, just his dance form and his style is my favorite to do.
Right.
But also, I believe in women's empowerment and loving your body and loving your tempo and having control of your sensuality and your sexuality. But I also believe our community, there's not balance. When it comes to black women, especially here in Atlanta, it is strip club capital. So when you think of black women in dancing and entertainment, you just think, oh, strip club. And that's
Right.
all that black women do. So I was like, you know what? It's time to take those worlds of all my years of training and my love for Fosse and create a burlesque show where black women can be sexy and beautiful and royal and regal and revered.
So when you started, were you doing classes? Like the videos that I see on Instagram, are you teaching a class? What is that is going on there?
Yes, so that's my Fitness Over 40 class.
Fitness over, ladies, listen, fitness over
Yes.
40. Okay, what happens?
Fitness Over 40 class. I created
Yeah.
this class because that's a demographic that's kind of forgotten about.
Yeah.
If you're not a trained dancer, a lot of these classes, you see these heel classes, stiletto classes, chair
Pole
classes,
dancing.
Pole dancing, yes. Some of these women are like, okay, honey, I haven't had on heels since 1989, and I'm really not about to bust backwards out of a chair. Not happening.
Yeah.
My favorite group is BBD, okay?
Right.
So I wanted to create a class for women of a certain age where they could still go, you're still sexy, you're still beautiful.
Right.
Just because you're of a certain age, we are not cows, ladies and gentlemen. You don't put us out to pasture.
Cows.
And just whatever happened, if they die in the field by themselves, that's fine. Just bury them. Ain't nobody
I
come for
walked
'em
by
no
her,
way.
she was just laying in the grass. I was like, well, it was her time. It was her time.
Yes, like some of us, we still doing our thing, still in our craft, but I felt like there was nowhere for these women to go. So I wanted them to come and also to be taught by a professional.
Right.
That you are learning from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. You're using every muscle so that you're not getting injured also.
Yeah.
So, it's near and dear to my heart.
Any backlash?
Oh, of course.
Especially with the walking backwards thing.
Oh, of course. Well, first
Or backwards
of all,
sleigh, I'm sorry.
for the backwards slave, for those who say she ain't doing nothing but walking backwards, honey, you can't even walk forward and chew gum and blink at the same time. So please stay off my page. And if you are trained...
Are you answering these people? Are you commenting?
No, I'm just stating my opinion today.
Oh,
Take
today.
It how you want.
So you don't go back and forth with people.
Oh,
Do you-
absolutely not.
Do
You're
you
not worth
delete
my time.
Do you delete the comments?
Oh, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
You will get blocked.
Oh, you block
like
people.
a party. Block party.
Block like
Don't-
a party. I'm writing that down.
Do not play with me. But you know why? Here's the thing, and I'm going to be serious for a moment. There
Yeah.
was a time in my life where I tried to jump off a balcony and commit suicide. It was so dark for me. So now, people always say, oh, you get one life. No, you know what? You live every day, you die once. And thank God that wasn't the end for me. So now when I live my life, I live it to the fullest. So I don't have time for foolishness. I don't have time to be going back and forth with anybody. And really, when people give me hateful comments, that's more a reflection of you than
Right.
it is of me.
Right.
That tells me what's dark about you, because I can't even fathom saying something dark and dirty and mean to somebody like that, let alone typing it and sending it to somebody. And then some people need to take their meds. I don't understand following somebody you don't like just to tell them you don't like them. You're actually helping them. You're helping the algorithm because you're watching their whatever the content that they're putting out. So it's like you're actually working in reverse. But hey, keep watching, keep tagging.
Now, you
keep
know you
commenting.
dropping bombs, right? I mean, with Drea Kelly, you came in and you sprinkled a little Lowry season salt, and everybody in their radio is like, what did she just say? When you talk about jumping off a balcony,
Oh, yeah.
what was that dark time?
It was a time for me where I just couldn't take any more of the abuse. And that was a really dark time because at that time I had 3 small children. One of them was still an arm baby. And it's like, yeah, I'm done. I can't. So you have to be at your lowest low, and it has to be the darkest part of your life as a mother when you are willing to say, I don't want to do this thing called life anymore and leave your 3 babies behind. That's a dark place to be.
What got you out of that? What happened?
The voice of my children, oddly enough, standing on that balcony and hearing their voice And they would always have that question of, why did mama leave us? Why did she jump? What happened? Because they were too young to understand.
Right.
So it was that. And also the voice of God. Like, I prayed, and it wasn't no cute prayer. It wasn't, oh, Father God, while thou art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I was like, dude, listen, I'm going to need you to tell me right now, today.
Why I shouldn't be doing this.
What is this?
What is this?
Because people have to understand, too, the root of my tree has always been abuse. The first man I ever saw abuse a woman was my grandfather, and he was a Baptist preacher. So God, love, and pain were one for me at a very young age. So being in a domestically violent relationship, that was not foreign. That's what I grew up in. So I had to really ask God, what is this?
Right.
Because I thought this was normal. Because if a man of the cloth beats his wife, surely a man of the world does it. So what's the big deal? But then when I got the answer from God, and literally, Ryan, he said, grab your laptop. I was like, dude, this is not funny. I'm not here for the jokes. Why would I grab a laptop right now? And I'm ready to jump off a balcony. And that's when he said, input domestic violence. And I promise you, when I started reading and really getting clear on what it was, I was like, wait, this is what I've been going through this whole time?
So you didn't recognize it?
I didn't recognize it.
Because you saw it from...
Yeah, from a young age. So it was normal to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are your children very protective of you?
Very, very.
Because my kids, my Scorpio child, oh boy.
Let me tell you, my oldest, Joanne, I call her little big mama. She is not to be played with. My middle child, Ja, I call her little Ali. She got hands. Don't play with her. She will knock your head off into a parking lot somewhere. Do not play with her. My son, close to his black belt. I hope he's one of them real calm. Don't walk up on me. Don't say nothing about my mom. And we real cool.
How many people have asked you for like interviews?
Oh, God, I've lost count. I just don't.
Hundreds?
You know, you would have to ask my publicist because they go to her first.
Right.
But every day she sends me some kind of text. So-and-so wants to talk to you. So-and-so. A certain person asked to talk to me, and I was like, no, I'm sorry. Even if Jesus came back and said I have to do that interview, that person, I would never do an interview.
With somebody we know?
I don't know. Vlad?
Oh, Vlad TV?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no.
Never. I would.
What was that going to be like?
First of all, you've drugged me 1,000,001 times before, and you have the audacity to say, can you make it right? How can you make it? No. Good day. Goodbye. Card decline. Get out. No. No. No.
We were talking off air about the whole climate, and you said something that I want people to understand, and I think it's very important that as a mother, you said that after things trend and make page 6 and make the news, there are human lives involved.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and there's still devastation left behind. So when you're on to the next thing that's trending, people are still dealing with trauma, things that you thought that you have dealt with, nightmares, insomnia, just feeling like, how do I go on? Feeling like I've done so much work to get to this place.
Right.
And something that took me years, months, days was undone by somebody just sending a tweet, somebody putting up a caption, somebody wanting it to be trending. It's like, it's not something that should be a hot topic when there's people out there dying every minute of every day from the same thing. So what they don't realize is what's trending for you is also setting someone back. Because if someone else wants to come forward and tell their story, they see the temperature of the world now. I'm not telling my story. I will never speak of anything in my trauma I've been through, because to everybody else, it's a joke. It's to get likes. It's your comment. It's your meme. So I think we've just gotten away from being human altogether.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's like when people talk about locker rooms in sports, right? And they say, oh, they become a cancer to the locker room. That's a great meme until you know somebody who has had cancer.
Right.
It doesn't hit the same anymore, because now it's like, it's not a throwaway word. It's something that is deeply affecting families for a long time, especially if it doesn't end well, right?
Yeah.
So I understand that when you say that people are going to ask you about, my first thing whenever I talk to you is ask you how you're feeling. And we've talked about those things.
Yeah.
Are you still trying to do the podcast thing?
I am.
So what will be off limits? Because
Ignorance is off limits.
Okay, explain that.
Because people opt to be ignorant nowadays. We like to speak on subjects that we've never done research about. How would you feel if a doctor came in and said, hey, I'm a brain surgeon. Did you go to school? Did you go to medical school? No, but I heard about what brain surgeons do.
Right.
you will not let them operate on you.
Right.
So before you speak on a subject, especially domestic violence, and you don't know the cycles of domestic violence, you don't know what it takes to get out of it, you don't even know the signs, you may be in it yourself. Don't comment on something that you haven't educated yourself about. I'll give an example. People are quick to say, just leave. Where are they going when they just leave? Are you going to let them stay with you? And if they do stay with you, are you prepared that they may have to stay with you from anywhere from 6 months to a year in order to get money, get a job, get established, go through counseling? So people need to be a little more sensitive when they say just do this, or I would have done that, or she should have done this. And especially if you're not going to make somebody an authorized user on your credit card and they can do and live how they need to live
Right.
in order to readjust and become the new person, please stop saying that. Please.
Drea Kelly is in the studio with us right now. First interview, talking about a lot of different things. Her cabaret showcase is tomorrow. We got to say where it is.
Yes, at Man Robinson Studios. It's La Belle Jetée Cabaret, Burlesque, and more.
La Belle Jetée.
Yes,
what does that
La
mean?
Belle Jetée. So La Belle is French for the beautiful, and Jetée is, you can be a grand jeté or a regular jeté. So in ballet class, it's when you see dancers go across the floor and they open their leg and they do a big leap across the floor. So the reason I named it La Belle Jetée, because I feel like that's what my life is. It's one big, beautiful leap of faith right now. So that's what it means, the beautiful big leap, La Belle Jetée.
When you think about, your life, if you could go back to your younger self, after all these things that you've seen transpire in the public, in the media, on television shows or whatever, what would you say to yourself?
Oh, I would say to myself, you're stronger than you know. You will impact people's lives in a magical way, that you have it in you to survive it. And don't be afraid of the dark. The dark parts is where the healing happens.
When you go back to Chicago, what's your life like?
Oh, I haven't been in so long, but when I go back to Chicago, it's just love. That's where my family is. That's where my friends are. That's where I grew up on the South Side, 3510 South Roads. Went to Beasley Academic Center. It's just love. So it's a beautiful thing. But whether there's love or not, I got God's love, so it really don't matter to me.
Right.
And I know people may be like, man, she seemed dry. It's not that I'm dry. It's not that I'm jaded. I'm just...
What's wrong, Drea? Why don't you go on and say what it is?
You know what it is? When you become the butterfly, you already know what it's like to be the caterpillar on your belly. You know what it's like to be in the cocoon in the dark. Once you become a butterfly and get your wings, you floating. And I'm just floating. And people expect it to be something else.
What are they expecting you to do?
Well, actually, it's two-sided, right? This is the crazy part. When I'm happy and joyful, oh, she happy, and she ain't really go through all that. But then when you're crying, you need to get over it. That happened so many years ago. So really, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So that's why I say I'm at peace. So the calmness people hear, I don't let people make my emotions fluctuate anymore.
Nothing can affect your energy.
No. Joy is God-given. Happiness is what changes day to day depending on what you face. My joy was never taken from me, and none of y'all will take my joy, period. So stop trying.
You got your family here with you.
Yes.
And I was asking, where is she, your oldest?
My oldest, yep.
Over in the corner.
Yep.
And I asked her, I said, do people talk crazy to you?
Oh, yeah. Have been since she can remember, since she could comprehend, yes. So you have to think all the way back to 6, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, 11, all the way to 24. This is what you're dealing with. And like you said, people say, oh, kids are resilient. I feel like they feel that gives them a pass to then be nasty. Because kids are resilient, they'll get over it. Let me just say what I want to say. It's crazy.
What do you say? You got a camera. Come over here. I can't. Come here. You got the camera. You taping me? I want to see what you got. What do you say when you get on your mom's mic? When people talk crazy to you and have been since you were 7 years old?
When I was younger, I used to care, but at this point, can I cuss?
No curse.
Oh.
Kind of curse, but like shoot and dang.
I say F them.
No. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it, but I mean, at this point, it is what it is. I've learned to deal with it because it's not going nowhere. I've tried a long time to fight it and why are people doing this? Questioning it, questioning myself, questioning my family. And it just got to a point where I was like, well, it is what it is. It's not going
Right.
away. It's not going to change. It seems to keep happening. So at this point, I just got to learn how to deal with it or suffer. Like, and I didn't want to suffer all my life. So I just had to build that, like, that tough
Is it a
skin.
wall that you set up around? I mean, because I asked your mom, were y'all very protective of her? And she said you were. So, like, when y'all are out, like, what is your mindset? I mean, because when you look at her as a mother who's
Yes.
raised you, what is it? Okay, let me rephrase that. Just act like I ain't say none of that.
Okay.
What do you see in your mother that you admire the most?
That's a lot. I think more than anything, because I'm her daughter, I've seen a lot that, especially being her oldest, I've seen a lot that people would probably not assume that she's been through
Right.
or had to work through. And I would say the one thing that I'm like most proud of her about would probably be her ability to get up and try to be a better person every day. 'Cause her resilience, like that shit. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. We get it. We get
Sorry,
it.
y'all. No, but yeah, her resilience.
And she's
like,
getting emotional when she hears you say that.
yeah, because I mean, she's been through a lot, and I've had to watch her go through a lot. And as her oldest child, like, it's hard. And I think more than anything, that's what's affected me the most. Like, people can say what they want to say about me, and that has been difficult adjusting to. But the hardest
What are
part
they saying about you? What would somebody say about you? They don't know you.
I know. I know that. I mean, I've been called all types of things. A bastard, a horrible child, like so many things, disrespectful. I've been called out my name. Like, it's been a lot, but I think for me, the hardest part of it all was watching her have to go through everything. Because I built a tough skin early, because
Right.
I've been in it for so long that it's just like at some point I just got over it. But it took my mom a long time to get to where she's at. And so that was the hardest part for me.
So when all three of y'all are sitting around, and I'm sure somebody shows somebody something, it's like, all right, look, do you say we ain't gonna show mom this?
Oh,
or,
yeah. Yeah, me
Yeah.
and my siblings, we have a code. We have a sibling code, and it's just certain things we don't even bring.
So
to
y'all say
her.
a word? Is it something that y'all?
It's not even a word. It's just we know when we bring something to each other, whether we bring it to our mom.
It's
or
not gonna come up at the dinner table.
And not at all. It'll never come up.
I mean, they are very protective of you,
Yeah.
as they should be.
Yeah. It is a beautiful thing to be loved by your children in that way, that you don't have to hide the cracked parts of you. Like, I created a mantra for myself. I have cracks, but I'm not broken.
Right.
But I share my cracks with my children because it allows them to see, how do you do this thing called life? How do you get up every day? How do you face the world when you just want to disappear? Like, I can't tell them to do it and not be a living example of how to do it.
Right.
So I allow myself to be vulnerable with my children, but she will tell you it was some
There were some moments.
yeah, it's been more than one when I thought I wouldn't be here. And if it wasn't for my children, I don't know that I would. But I live for them because they live for me.
And they love you so much. I mean, as a father of two daughters, I can look at, and she want to take care of her mama and make sure her mama's good from now on. And, you know, some things are happening in everybody's life that are going to, you know, shift the atmosphere here soon enough. So what is the toughest part?
I would say for me, like, personally.
For all three of you.
Well, cause I can't speak for my brother and sister.
Yeah.
Because, you know, all of our experiences
Deal with it
are
in their own
different.
way.
Yeah.
Right.
But for me, I would say the hardest part is just, like, being my own person. Because a lot of people don't know, I do music, I do visual arts. Like, I've been to school for it. Like, I'm really in it as far as, like, being a creative. And I feel like I haven't really ever gotten the chance to fully showcase that. Because everybody wants to talk about my mom and my dad and what that was like. And it's just like, bro, like, at this point, I'm grown. Like, I have
You're
my
24.
own life. I'm 24.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen some things. I've experienced some things. Like, I'm working on
You've been doing
music.
it?
Huh? What?
You know, you've been
Living life.
I've been living my life.
You've been doing your thing.
No, but for real, like I have more to offer than just what my dad or my mom has going on.
Is it harder? Is it more difficult because of that? Because and I told my daughter this. I said, Ryan, and I know she's listening. I said the worst thing I ever did was naming you after me. Her name is Ryan Cameron. And I thought it was the most narcissistic, egotistical thing I could have ever done to my child. Because once she became of age, people made the connotation and the recognition of what she was. And it was so hard on her. I was like, why would I do that to somebody? And I mean, I've tried to make up for it in any way I could. I mean, we call her Ryan Megan, but I just said, you know, I think a lot of times as parents, we don't realize that it's hard for people. They go, oh, you just getting this call, you know, because your dad did or because your mom. Was it difficult to try to get into these spaces that you went to school for because people, oh, you just got this job because you know somebody?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think it's been, for me, the experience has been both. It's been, you're only getting this because of who your parents are, and then you're not getting this because of who your parents are.
So have you been turned down from stuff?
Absolutely, simply based off of my last name. And that has, I think for me, especially because a lot of people don't know, like, music is my first passion. Like, I love music. I'm a singer, songwriter. I love music. And I've been doing music since I was 13 years old. That's the first time I ever wrote a song, was at 13. And from 13 up until 24, I have been trying to get into the music business, trying to get into the industry. And all those years, it's either been, you're getting it because of who your dad is, or you're not getting it because of who your dad is. Like, I've been this close to a record deal. And when they found out who I was, it got swiped away.
Because of who your father is?
Absolutely, 100%.
You thought you were signed?
The paperwork was drawn up and everything. Flew out to L.A. and everything.
And somebody up in the
power. Found out who I was, and that was it.
How many times does that happen?
A good amount. Good enough.
Enough where it's become a nuisance in your career. Yeah,
for sure. For sure. For sure.
So, you know, knowing that you, I mean, I'm sure you have projects and stuff already in the can. If you had to release an album right now, could you?
I've already done it. I have 2 projects out right now.
Okay, where are they?
They're on all platforms. My first one is called Don't Call Me. That one's all platforms. Apple Music, iTunes, all that.
Right.
And then the second one is Cheers to You, Shadow. I put that out like 2 years ago, and I'm working on another one right now.
And what's your artist name?
Buku Abai.
I'm sorry?
Buku Abai.
I'm sorry?
Buku Abai.
Buku Abai.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So Buku.
Because, you know, I'm from Atlanta.
Right.
Around here, buku means something else. How many people? Man, there were buku people at the club last night.
Yeah, that's exactly what it means. Exactly.
All right, cool. All right, I feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So buku abai, and you can go on any platform and listen to the music.
Yeah,
what type of? What's your style?
Right now, I think I'm like more in like the hip hop / R&B. Like, it's a mix of both.
Okay.
But I have backgrounds in pretty much all types of music. When I first started music, I was in a rock band.
Really?
So, yeah, so I thoroughly enjoy like old school rock, stuff like that. But right now, I definitely have gravitated more towards like R&B, hip hop.
All right, I'm gonna download some stuff.
Yeah, please
I'm
do.
gonna check it out.
Because a lot of people have
Your
no
mama
idea.
didn't even mention that.
Yeah.
We been knowing she ain't brought up you.
Yeah,
She came out as a cabaret.
Yeah.
She ain't said nobody know. You know, we've been talking for 4 days. She ain't said. She ain't said. You know, I would like to mention Buku Abai. I was like, don't forget about my show tomorrow. Really, Drea? That's what we doing? That's what we doing?
Well, she a grown woman, so you know.
Oh, that's what we doing. You can't plug your daughter.
Listen.
Go on and plug the cabaret so I can go to break.
Plugging my eggs, but on another note, the Belgian Cabaret.
Really?
Yes, Friday at Man Robinson Studios. Get your tickets now.
How can people get tickets for real?
Eventbrite, and you can also go to official Drea Kelly on Instagram, and my link is in my bio. Again, that's La Belle Jetée Cabaret tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. at Man Robinson Studios.
Thank you, Drea.
Thank you,
Love
Raya.
you.
I love you.
I appreciate the
My
candor.
whole
I
heart.
appreciate the transparency. And Buku Abai. Man, you better go down and download Bukus of them things, shouting. What's up, Ray?